Hello and welcome to the Awakened Feminine podcast. I'm your host, Kaki Lee, and my mission is to share the love and wisdom of inspiring women from around the world who have gone through adversity and turned their pain into purpose. Today, I'm excited to share the love and wisdom of writing coach, award winning author, and CEO and founder of Constant Communicators, Karen Brown Tyson, who's joining me all the way from North Carolina in the USA. Welcome, Karen.
Hello, Kaki. How are you? It's so
I'm
nice to
great.
be here.
Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. I'm really excited about our conversation. Before we dive into your journey, I always love my guests to share with us what is your definition of an awakened feminine?
Ooh, I think an awakened feminine is someone who has found their purpose, someone who is definitely on a path and knows where they're going, but also who is open to the different journeys that they go on along the path. So I do think that someone who isn't afraid of change or opportunity or new things. So
Yeah,
I think that's my definition of an
yeah.
awakened.
Thank you for sharing that with us. That's such a beautiful definition. So, Karen, let's dive into your journey. And it looks like communication is your jam. You were working as a global corporate communications manager before founding your own company, Constant Communicators, which is a public relations and content writing business. I really love you to share with us what that journey looked like from working from someone else to finding your own company, including any like spiritual awakenings or aha moments you had along the way.
Oh well, that's good. I think what it was like working with other people and for other people. It was a great experience, Kaki. I can't take anything away from that. Because that was where I was able to learn a lot about public relations and corporate communications. So I love the journey. In my last position, I was able to travel to different parts of the world. So it was great being able to meet different people, to work in teams with different people. So it was a great experience. And then going from working for someone else to working for myself has also really, it's been a blessed experience because I'm able to focus on projects that I want to focus on and actually work with clients that I want to work with. And then also in the other part of my business, when I'm not actually working with clients, then I'm able to write, the material that I want to, the kind of books that I want to. So I am a grateful woman,
Yeah,
Taki. I do feel as if I am living a very blessed life.
that's amazing. I want to ask you, Karen, what was the catalyst that sparked you to go, hey, I want to start my own business?
Well, I think it was interesting because in 2017, I got laid off from my last job. And I didn't think about starting my own business right away. I thought about actually going off and finding a new job.
Yeah.
And so I went out and I was, sending out resumes and trying to find a new position. And there just didn't seem to be anything. And I am a person that's used to working hard.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to wait for work to actually call me. So I started to create my own work. And I started my blog, KarenBrownTyson.com, and I've started writing blog posts. I also just started just talking to people about their business, what their needs were in terms of communications. And so once I noticed that no one was calling me asking for a job, I said
Yeah.
to myself, I should just keep going with what I'm doing because I am working and there wasn't any time when I just kind of sat around and didn't have any work to do.
Yeah.
So it was great to just, go from working in a corporate environment to actually working remotely in my home.
Yeah. I just love that you said that no jobs came to find you. That's like a big sign to go, oh, well, okay, maybe I'm not meant to be working for someone else, right?
Exactly.
I love that. That's awesome. So, I want to talk about now more about your writing, if that's okay with you, because I know you're an award-winning author. You've got two books published currently. That's right. If that's right, yeah, yeah. The first one is "Time to Refresh," 21-day devotional to renew your mind after being laid off, fired, or sidelined, which I believe you might have um, published after you got laid off. Yep, and started writing that. And also then your latest book, Time to Reset, which is a 21-day devotional to renew your mind after being sidelined, disappointed, or knocked off course, which you've actually only published this year in February, I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's really awesome that you've been able to achieve writing two books published and becoming an award winning author in such a short space of time. Are you able to give us a bit of a unpack your journey on how the idea of writing a book came to you and what really made you go, you know, I believe that my message deserves to be heard, and actually following that calling to write that book.
Right. Well, I tell people, I've always wanted to write a book. I was a English major, and I can remember when I graduated, I was packing up my room, and I was putting all my books, required books that I had to read for my classes in a box. And I thought to myself, one day I'm going to write one of these.
Yeah.
And so it's always been, I feel like it's always been inside me. And then fast forward, so I get the news that I'm getting laid off, and so I go to the gym in the morning, like really really early, and I was leaving the gym, and I remember being in the car saying I was having a conversation with God, and I said I feel like I'm sitting on the sidelines of life,
Yeah.
and that's when I heard him say write a book. And talk about how you're sitting on the sidelines and you're spending, more time, with me, and tell people that yes, being laid off is not the greatest thing. People don't look forward to that. And there's, some challenges obviously that come with that for a lot of people. But I felt the Lord telling me to write a book about it to help people be able to get through it.
Mm.
And so during that time that I told you that I was looking for a job, I was working on starting this blog, but I was also writing the book. And I would come downstairs every day, like it was a job. I
Yeah.
had to develop my own writing routine, but I would come downstairs every day at a certain time, and I would start writing at my kitchen island, and I would just start writing the book and
Yeah.
organizing the book. And before I knew it, the book actually came out in July
Mm.
of 2018. And before I knew it, I had a book. I was actually, a lot of times I was actually shocked that a book came out. All of that.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it was a part of my journey. It was what I was supposed to do. So I'm grateful for the things that happened to be able to produce the first book.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful message because so many times when we have, what we call bad things happen to us, most of us get upset, get frustrated, and, it's understandable to get that. But for you to take that and go, oh, well, how can I kind of just transmute that energy and use it for something to help others as well. That's such a beautiful way to go about it and to be grateful for that journey because I think a lot of us don't have enough gratitude in our lives. We don't take, we take for granted all the small things, but important things in our life. Yes, I love that. You're amazing. I want to ask you then. So, the first book was because you got laid off, and that's how it all started. So now this new book is Time to Reset. So, what sparked this new book coming out?
So the new book, Time to Reset. Um, I was in church one night. It was like on New Year's Eve, and we always get a message on New Year's Eve to go into the new year.
Mm,
And the message was about resetting and resetting your priorities. And in that moment, I thought, you know what, this would be a great second book. From the time to refresh, now it's time to reset. And the idea really behind resetting is just saying to yourself, it's okay that these things have happened in your life. You've been challenged, you've been disappointed, maybe you've spent some time on the sidelines, but you can reset for yourself. It's okay to start again. It's okay to press the reset button. It's okay to take a self evaluation of yourself and your situation and say, here are some things that I love about it. Here are some things I don't want to do anymore. And here are some things that I want to change. And I really just took it from that perspective and thought that I would do more of an introspective for myself about time to reset rather than focusing on not having a job so much.
mm,
But but just the idea that it's okay for us to start again.
yeah, beautiful. So, did you at that time reset yourself as well when you were writing the book?
That's a good question. I actually did because as I went through, um, the Lord was actually really showing me things about myself. And so some of the topics that are in the book, I tell a lot of stories from my childhood, in the book. But some of the ideas were really about things that I did for myself to reset or that I could do to reset. And I just felt like it was something that other people would be able to read and benefit from being able to have that idea that yeah, it's okay to reset, even if it's not the beginning of the year, it could be any time of the year that you have a reset moment.
Yeah, I love that. Because most of us like to wait, beginning of the year, New Year's resolutions, that's when we reset and start all over
Yeah,
again. But every moment is a opportunity to reset if it is the right time, right, to reset. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I love I love that. And it's funny because, recently I'm going through a reset myself. So I just love that right now I'm talking to you about this particular topic. And it's scary hitting the reset button because it can be like, oh, I've been working so hard, I can't stop. I think that's our society. We just like, we have to keep pushing, we have to keep pushing and achieving and doing all these things. But actually, when you take a step back to reset, it helps you to realign to go, actually, am I pushing the right way?
And I also think that it helps us, that question that you asked me at the very beginning about being an awakened feminine. Um, I think that those times and those moments help us and awaken us to the things that we like, the things that we don't like, and the things that we want to change. So I even think, in your situation that you're in now, you're going to come out um, different and you're going to come out better. And then you're going to be able to share that with other people, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah. And I can tell you already that the resetting, just stepping back, just give you so much clarity, as you
Mhm.
would know yourself. It's just like, why didn't I think of that before? And it was because you were continually pushing and trying to, achieve someone else's timeline or,
Yeah,
something that you think you have to do, but really it's just something you impose on yourself to do, which might not need doing at all, right?
exactly.
Oh, so Karen, that's really amazing, and actually, I'm really excited to read your books. I think when I was on Amazon, it doesn't send to Australia, but I have to have a look again.
I'll double check as well.
Yeah. So, Karen, I'd love you to share more of your love and wisdom with us. It looks like you had that. layoff and you've gone through a few things in your life. But was there a particular experience, and it doesn't have to be a career experience, it could be something, a bit more personal, depending on what you want to share, that you found the most challenging in your life that actually led to your biggest breakthrough?
Um, that's a good question, Hockey, because when I was 10 years old, um, my grandfather passed away on a Sunday. And of course, this is my mother's father. And so, and my mother, at the time, she has a twin sister, and she had an older sister, and so the three of them were working together to try to prepare for my grandfather's funeral. So that was on Sunday. Then on Monday, my father passed away,
Oh, wow.
and so again, and on planning a funeral for my father. And so I remember it being a whole week of we also have what we call like a wake where
Mm,
um friends and family come the day before and they sit with you and you go to the funeral home and they're able to go and view the person's body before they're actually buried.
yeah.
So it was a whole week of wakes and funerals.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, I wasn't at the time thinking that this was the roughest week of my life,
Yeah.
but I remember thinking to myself, we're going to make some changes
Okay.
now that these things have happened. And I was only 10, Hockey, but I thought I was 30. And so
Love it.
I remember making some decisions. And so the decisions that I made was at the time I was living with my grandparents because that's where my father wanted me to live in order to go to a better school.
Mm,
On that day of my father's funeral, I told my mother, I'm not going away to my grandmother's anymore. I'm going to stay home with you. And she said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes, I'm going to go to the school my dad, didn't want me to go to,
yeah.
but it's going to help me to be with you so you're not alone."
Yeah.
That was my first thing. And then my second thing was I said, "And then we're going to start to go to church." And my mother, she said, "We are?" I said, "Yes, we are." And we're going to go to church every Sunday. And she said, "You're being very bossy right now." I said, "No, we're gonna make some changes." And it was in that week that I felt like things had to change. So maybe that's why I embrace change now. But in that week at 10 years old, I felt like these are some things that we're gonna do as a family. And I do have a brother.
Yeah.
So you know, um, some of these things were impacting him as well. But I said, we're gonna do these things. And my mother said, okay. And so we went on as a family and we were able to make it, and she is she's 90 years old now, and
Wow.
she's a very awesome mother, but she let me tell her the thing I wanted to do. And I think that moment, Kaki, really did shape the person that I am and the person that I became.
Yeah. Oh, It it's a sad story about the passing away of your grandfather and your dad as well, your father as well. But what a beautiful change in terms of how you decided that these are the things we're going to do at 10 years old. I just absolutely love love that. And for your mum also, I mean, kudos to your mum for listening because I think, I mean, I've got two kids myself. As a mum, sometimes you're like, mums know best, right? I'm not going to listen to you 10-year-old, to your 10-year-old telling me what to do. Do we have to go to church every week? So I just love that she went, okay, she could see your determination. And, I think you must have had this, I can't think of the word, but this spark, right? It must have been something that she went, okay, right, we're listening to her. And that it Yeah, and it makes a big difference to a child's life, I think, when you're feeling that you're being heard and you're loved and you're seen by your parents or your parent. Yeah.
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 Yes,
Oh,
I always, when I think about that, I love my mother so much. She is so sweet and awesome and dynamic.
yeah.
And as you say, in that moment, she said yes to all the things that I told her that we were going to do, together. And my brother, he continued to live with my grandparents and go to the schools that he had been going to. So we were separated, during the
Mm,
week, but, my brother and I are really super close, and our family is really close. And so I do credit my mother for having that strength to let me actually, tell her what I wanted us to do and for us to be able to do that. So it really did turn out to be a beautiful experience, and we were able to make it as a family.
yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that story with us. It's a very personal story. So thank you for sharing that with us. So, Karen, I want to ask you, I mean, what do you believe is the greatest lesson you've learnt in your life so far?
I think we might have touched on this already. I think the greatest lesson that I've learned is to actually try to look at, especially when there's sort of bad and challenging things that happen to you. Try to find the good in that. Try to find the opportunity. Try to find the peace and the light that could possibly be in that moment. And I know that it's really hard sometimes because we're actually in it. It's
Yeah.
hard to actually figure these things out. Um, but a lot of times, especially like, in our careers, sometimes we're working on things and maybe we don't get chosen for the job that we want, or we don't get chosen for the assignment that we want. Maybe that's not such a bad thing because God may have something else planned for you. And so I've been able to open myself up to the idea that whatever God has planned for me is way better than what I had planned. So I can't wait to see what that is.
Yeah. I
So
love
I
that.
think that I've learned for myself is to not see these things as being, the end of the world. And
Yeah.
so on the day that I was told that my job, now I did go to this meeting, cocky thinking, oh, maybe they're gonna promote me or give me another assignment or
Yeah.
ask me to do more work or something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was getting it
Yeah.
off. So, but when they did tell me, I told them in that moment, I said, it's fine. I wish you all the best. And I wish, the company success. And it's going to be fine. And I do remember in that moment just trusting the Lord and saying, whatever you have planned for me, I can't wait to see it because
Yeah.
it has to be awesome. Because you know who I am, you love me, you know that I like to work. And so I what you have planned for me.
Yeah.
And I just let it go in that moment. I didn't want to carry it around. I didn't want it to weigh me down. I didn't want to spend a lot of time crying over, this spilt milk
Yeah.
situation. I just wanted to go on and I wanted to be at peace and be free.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So, it's really a case of having faith that your journey is, wherever your journey is, that, the God is taking you is better. Really having
Hmm.
that faith and surrender and trust, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It really.
Yeah. I want to talk a bit more about that if that's okay, because that's something that I'm constantly working on. Finding that trust and surrender and faith is so hard for most people, right? Because you just want to have things on your terms, but really you can't control anything. There's nothing in your life that you can control except for how you react. And for you, you are able to do that. When you got told that you're being laid off, you're like, okay, I know that there's a better plan for me. And you just worked through that, work through that. I mean, how do you do it? Because it is such a hard thing for most people.
It's a hard thing. I acknowledge that it's a hard thing, and I'll tell you, Kaki, that when I got laid off the first time, I was not like that at all.
Yeah.
I had just gotten married, and I they told me I was getting laid off from this public relations advertising agency that I worked at, and I was like, I thought, oh my gosh, layoff! I never saw a layoff in my future.
Yeah.
And I remember my friend and I were getting laid off actually together, and we went to have like a long lunch where we were eating bread pudding and ice cream and crying, we're getting laid off. And, um, and I remember I wanted a job, so bad. And I would practically spend the night at we have a Kinko's, and it's a place where you go to make copies of your resume and
Okay.
email. I was sleeping at the Kinko's, a job so bad. And I was just I hockey, I was a basket case. I'm telling you. I was all over the place emotionally because I got laid off and it was awful. I am telling you, it was awful. I was awful.
Yeah.
So I told myself, I said, I don't want to be that out of control anymore over a job.
Yeah.
And so the second time I got laid off, I remember helping the HR manager communicate to all the people who were getting laid off. I would help her write the messages and tell the news to the employees. And then I felt like they were going to lay me off.
Yeah.
And on the day, so I went and I packed my box
Yeah.
and got my box ready because I told myself, Hockey, that I was going to be different the next time.
Yeah.
And that I was going to trust God and that I just, I wasn't going to just say it, I was going to do it.
Mm.
And I remember on that Friday, I think it was a Friday, the HR manager was like hiding in her office, like she wouldn't come see me. So finally, I went and knocked on her door and I said, "Do you have something to tell me?" She said, "Hey, you're getting laid off." I say, "It's okay. I'm gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay." And at that moment, I just decided I wanted to be different. I wanted to surrender. I wanted to give it over to the Lord. And I didn't want to be the Karen that I was when I got laid off the first time. Nobody wanted her to come back on the trip. And so the second time, was much, much better because like you say, I wanted to surrender. I didn't want to be out of control with my emotions again.
Yeah.
And so I just decided then, and I said, if I ever get laid off again, I'm going to be even better the next time. And so it's just really about that surrender. It's about trusting that whatever God has planned is better than whatever situation that you're in, that He's going to take care of you. And it was just me believing that. And as you said, had the faith and the trust in what He was actually doing.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Just love that. Love your stories. I love it so much. So, Karen, I want to ask you because I'm a bit of an avid book reader. Are there any books that you believe everyone should read, or books that have really changed your life?
Oh, that's a good question. I love well, I love sort of the end of times books, like the books by Jerry Jenkins.
Mhm.
Um, he wrote the Left Behind series, so I
Okay.
do love that. I also love like um well, I do love mysteries, but there is a British author that I love, Jeffrey Archer,
Okay. Yeah.
and I love those books because he'll do like historical fiction. But he is so awesome at telling stories. So I found him on one of my international travelers. I was in the airport in London, and I found the Jeffrey Archer book, and I think I've read all of his books. So, and then obviously for me, I love the Bible, so that would be another book that I would actually recommend for people.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. Like, Karen, I know right now there are men and women listening to us right now who want to make changes in their life, but they're feeling stuck. They don't know what they want to do, whether it's the career, their relationship, health, or whatever it is that they want to change. What advice or recommendations would you have for them to really just help them take that first step? To make that change to a life that they want.
I always tell people to either use a journal or just a regular sheet of paper. But I always tell people to write down the things that they want, because I think that's really important. A lot of times I'll talk to young people who want to change jobs, and I'll tell them, what kind of job do you want? What kind of work do you want to do? So it's the same really for our life. What kinds of things would you like to do with your life? What are your dreams? Write those down. And then write down, um, do you see any obstacles that you think are holding you back from doing those? If it's something like, I need more education, perhaps there's a way to find some courses or some books where you can learn more about that particular part of your dream. If it's I have to save money so that I can move thing, then you can plan for that. And then really that's my third thing is I tell people, I say, well, if you decide from this list that there's one thing that you're going to do, then create a step by step plan to figure out how you're going to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And so that's what I really I talk to people a lot about their dreams, or I talk to people a lot about their jobs.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, just start writing it down
Yeah.
and start to visualize, can I do this? Should I do this? Is this the right thing? And a lot of times I will also tell people to pray about it, for that direction and that guidance. But it all starts with writing it down.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that advice with us. So, Karen, I'm going to take a bit of a turn because I'm all about self love because that was one of my biggest lessons on my journey. So, as an awakened feminine, what does self love mean to you?
Ooh. So self-love to me means that you are being very intentional about taking care of yourself. And so as women, we do a lot, and people ask us to do a lot. And what I try to do is I try to understand, what can I do and what can I do?
Mm.
Um because I think sometimes we go into overload because we're trying to do so many things and we're trying to please so many people.
Yeah.
And so part of my self care is, do I have enough time in the day to be able to offer people, what they're asking me for? I do tell women all the time that you can say no, if this isn't something that's going to work for your schedule, and that it's okay. You don't have to, apologize profusely. You don't have to make an excuse that you're doing something else.
Yeah.
Just let people know your situation, that you're not able to do it. I do also think that self care has to do with time out, and
Yes.
just actually you taking time for yourself to just sit down, relax, as you say, read a book, or take a nap, even if it's 10 minutes, just take a nap. Just take a break from everything that's going on around you, and just take a moment just for yourself.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. And Karen, before we wrap up, I really love for you to share with us what is your personal mission and what is setting your soul on fire right now?
I think my soul is on fire for just helping people, as you help people, in terms of mindset, in terms of changing things that you don't like about your life, in terms of people following their dreams. I think that that's really kind of setting me on fire right now, and just helping people, talking to people about that, and helping people just to see that they can live their best life, um, based on the things that they want to do when they want to do them. So I think that's probably it.
That's awesome. Thank you, Karen, so much for sharing your love and wisdom with us today. If people want to find out more about you or how they can work with you, where should they go?
You can probably go first to KarenBrownTyson.com, and find me there. That's where my blog is. You can also find me on Twitter at KBT Writes, and also on Facebook at KBT Writes. And I'm happy to, just interact with people. I love engaging with people. So, just hit me up at any of those places.
Awesome. Thank you. I have all your details and any recommended resources available in the show notes so people can reach out to you. Thank you once again, Karen. I had an awesome time chatting with you.
Thank you so much for having me.